better than all the.
Uneven sidewalk.
You remember? You remember way back in the serial days, the 60s and 70s. They had it's all documentary. It's the same series. All variations like that.
So I yield you into your care. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. So make me an offering, make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing, all you have given me. Jesus, bring me wine,
It's only been a year since we've seen it.
She might sit on my lap.
So make me your vessel, make me an offering, make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing, all you have given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me.
She's gonna get far in life because she knows the way to a person's heart. What did she say about me? She said, he looks strong.
Yes, that's right.
That's a very smart little girl right there. What do you need? You need a Corvette. That's good. I told her looks are deceiving.
All things outside away. Your love that's still the same. Your constant grace remains a cornerstone.
Okay, remind everybody where you're from, what brought you down to Arizona in the first place,
Okay.
how you got so far from your parents' house to get down here.
Yeah. Well, my name is Emma. Hello. I am a senior, and I will be a senior for only a week more. It's really kind of crazy to say that out loud. Because the last time I was with Jim, I definitely had a whole other semester to go through, and it was hectic. Hi! Oh my gosh, hello. But my name's Emma. I'm originally from a really small town called Maple Plain, Minnesota. It's about 30 minutes west of the Twin Cities. And I have obviously been in college for a while because I'm a senior, but I have only been in school actually for 3 years. I'm graduating with my bachelor's a year early and then completing my master's by the end of next year. They have a really cool program where they just smush it all into one. But I just knew when I was younger that like God had really given me like a gift for words and a gift for composing those words and talking to people and telling people stories. I just like it was like the one area of my life that had so much success, and it wasn't like for my own self-gain. It was just something that like was just naturally instilled in me. And the practical monetary side of it was, okay, how can we make a living out of this, because I can't not have money. But I looked into journalism, and so I was really interested in it. The more I learned about it, I'm like, this is really cool. I like this field. I like the different like tangents of it. And ASU had a really good school for it, and I came down and toured. My dad was not a huge fan of the school, but I met this really awesome girl. Her name is Lillian Donahue. I contribute at least 40% of the reason I'm at the school to her and her alone. We met. It was a total God thing. I went to this luncheon that I didn't even really want to go to. And she apparently, in hindsight, told me that she didn't really want to go to it either. She was working with the university. But we met there, found out that we both have twin sisters that are both named Abby, that are spelled irregularly, and both have blonde hair. We are both the older of the two twins. We both love journalism. We both love cats. Our favorite restaurant is Chick-fil-A. Like, the similarities just were insane. And we weren't even trying. And I noticed that she was wearing like a cross necklace. And so I like got talking with her, and she invited me to her Bible study. And I went that night to a college Bible study as a high school student. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. But then God, while I was there, was like, yes, you are supposed to be here. And in fact, you're supposed to be here for the next 4 years. And I was like, I never thought I was going to go to a secular college. I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm dang sure. And I'm like, alrighty, God, I won't question that. And so I told my parents, and eventually my dad agreed. And so packed up all my things and moved 1,400 miles away, which was kind of insane, especially because, like I said, I have a twin sister, so I moved away also from her. She ended up going to school in Colorado, but still, that's like 600 miles away from this location, which seems crazy because it's like Arizona and then Colorado, but there's still 600 miles in between because of dang mountains and desert. So I have been here for the last 3 years doing journalism work, serving in different capacities around campus. And I gotta say, like, looking back, at least on the last 3 years, I wouldn't have traded a moment of it for anything. Like, there were so many like lessons that were taught, and just so many like cool areas where God moved, and it's just
so that one chance meeting with Lillian,
yes,
led to a life decision.
Oh yes.
So one of the takeaways is that sometimes even the small things, the mustard seeds, the smaller, the stone in the hand of the right person can make a difference.
Oh yeah.
In a big way.
It was just like there was no other way to describe it, because what she told me after the fact was, she was like, the luncheon was she was working with some people that she wasn't super close with, and she was like already burnt out from her week, and she's like, oh, do I have to even go to this? Like, I could just like call in sick or whatever. And she's like, nope. She's like, I just felt this urge to go to this like luncheon thing for new students. And she went, and she wasn't even assigned, like we had like different people assigned to our tables to like talk to us about the university. She wasn't even assigned to my table, but she just like bumped into me, and this conversation ensued.
Now Lillian is 3 years ahead of you. 4
4
4 years. And she is now in.
She is now in South Carolina, although that will be changing very soon.
She's on air.
Yes, she's on air. She works for Live 5 News there in Charleston. She's
getting
getting married in June. I'm so mad because I was invited to her wedding and I was going to go, but I have a journalism competition that I just happened to be in the national championship for. That is the exact same week. And I'm like, you've got to be, and the ironic thing is she's also competed in that same competition. And so I called her and I was like, Lillian, you have no idea what just happened. And she was like, what? And I was like, well, hers is the same weekend as your wedding. And she was like, dang it. But she's like, but you got to do it. Like, it's totally like a chance of a lifetime. Like, you totally deserved it. But yeah, it was just really sad. I really wanted to go to her wedding.
I think it would be an interesting Bible study to look at how many times God uses small things and actually chooses to use small things.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Because then it's to his credit to be able to use something so small for his glory. It doesn't have to be the big things. Sometimes a student that just has time in their schedule to greet somebody that was in need of being greeted. Yeah, and a cross on her neck.
And it's just like, it's those moments of like, okay, like it's those little moments of saying like, am I going to still keep my hands open? Because she very much could have chosen to just lie in bed that day, not put on that necklace, not bump into me, like just stick to the table she was assigned to, do her job and leave. But she was like, nope, like I'm here, might as well invest in the present moment. And now a girl is out of university making an impact all because of that. I think God has most of the credit in that, but it was her acting on his behalf.
God used her.
Yes,
that time,
exactly.
Same God is never late, he's working all things.
got another song, then I'll ask you a question.
Okay. Sweet. Let's see. Worthy
Okay. How did you get into music?
Ah, good question. My mom did music all of her life. She did like worship teams, stuff like that, and sang like in choir, sang in high school, did plays, theater. I definitely carried that on in her legacy, for sure. As the saying goes in our family, she would like sing to us when my sister and I were like in our cribs, and I definitely got that from there. I would say up until like fourth or fifth grade, it was mainly my mom like giving us things to do. So like she asked us to do piano lessons when I was in first grade. So we started doing that. We sang for like little church musicals and things like that when they like bring the kids up for Easter or whatever the thing is. So like I would do all those things or whatever with my sister and I. Fifth grade, we had the choice of if we were going to do band or just take a study hall. They did not have choir, which I think is so lame. But it was just fifth grade. So I did do band. I played clarinet for 1 year and 1 year only. And as soon as I found out sixth grade had choir, dropped band completely. And I'm like, that's it. I want to do choir. I love singing so much. And so I sang all throughout my middle school years. My sister did band up until eighth grade. And then eighth grade, about halfway through, she's like, I'm just not finding the same passion that I did. She played clarinet too. And she's like, I'm not finding the same passion in this. So she was like, you seem to have a bunch of fun in choir. You get to sing all these fun songs. Like, I'm going to do that. So she then joined choir. And then in ninth grade, I did choir, but then there was also a guitar class at school. And so that's where I started learning. And then everything else after that, one semester class was completely self-taught. And I'm actually taking a class in the university now, which I'm really excited about. I have my final for that tomorrow, so that's exciting and a little scary.
You'll have to perform for that class?
Yes, there's like a written like thing of music that I have to do. But that's kind of like where it all started. But I think I really got passionate for it like in sixth grade, because I remember in fifth grade like making, as a little fifth grader, making like an appointment with the choir teacher from the middle school. And I'm like, I want to meet this lady. I want to know exactly what's in choir and what choir is about, because I'd never been a part of a choir before. And I was like, I want to know what we do, what warm-ups are like if I will get like accepted, even though everyone was accepted. But I was like, what if she doesn't accept me, or what if like my voice is bad? But yeah, in high school it was audition, but in middle school they just took anyone who was interested. But yeah, and then into college, it's just all been a hobby. I don't, besides my guitar class, I never took any other formal music classes, never took a choir, but I am a part of an a cappella group, but that is entirely my hobby-based choice.
So how did you then gravitate from doing music
To worship.
into leading worship?
Gotcha. I thought you were going to get to it, so I was like, should I mention this? Should I not? But yeah, so I, around the time that I could actually join our worship team, like, because you could join as soon as ninth grade at my church. And I, at that point in time, I knew how to play piano very, very well. I had just started learning how to play the guitar in this class, because it was one of the very first classes I took in high school. Because I was so passionate. One of my old choir teachers taught the class, and I'm like, this is great. She loves me. I love her. This will be awesome. And so I had all the musical expertise. So that part being aside, I had been told all my life that people being like, you have a great voice, like this is phenomenal. Like, are you planning to do music like after high school? Like, are you like doing any sort of like competitions or whatever? I'm like, no, I'm just singing. And they were like, have you gotten any like voice lessons? And I'm like, no, haven't done that either. Like, just me and my voice. That's all we've been doing for my entire life. And I had been hearing this like so much to the point where like then naturally when like they had said like, hey, if you're interested in worship team, like stay after this one service and we can talk about it. And I just felt like this prompting of like, you should stay after. And I was like, well, am I just doing this because like I am good at these things, or because like I like truly feel like this is something that I'm gifted in? And I was like, well, stay after. It's not like this is the end all be all decision. And so I stayed after and talked with my youth pastor about it. And he's like, I really do like feel like this is something that God is calling you into. He's like, but that's not my decision to make, of course. He's like, I like obviously sit with God, process it yourself. He's like, but was hearing a yes, so I was like, okay, I'll do it. And so I got started with worship team at my church. Did a bunch of leading for them all 4 years of high school. My sister joined the worship team. You can sense a trend. She definitely like had a little bit more timidness than me, which isn't bad. But she joined, I want to say junior year of high school is when she joined the worship team. Because I did it for a while before she did, but then led through that. And then in college, I'm now a part of Chi Alpha, which is a Christian organization here on campus. And they have a worship team, and I joined with them. Actually, one of the people on the call is in the worship team with me. Shout out Izzy, you're the bomb. But yeah, so very fun doing worship team for them. Very different vibe and feel, but I think that's like the beautiful thing is like worship looks different in different capacities. And I mean, at a base level, it looks different of worship, like helping somebody out versus singing song. But like even within worship teams, I find that like it's really cool that like the moments that I've had with worship are very different than the moments I had at my church, but yet both of them were like purely moments of worship.
Well, different ingredients will make a different product.
Yes, exactly.
So the ingredients here look different than what you would do in your own church, of course. Good, good. All right, sing a couple more.
Okay. I just know I have a list of songs and I'm trying to like go off of that.
Narrow as the road follow where your spirit leads. Broken as my life may be, I will give you every piece. I hear you call. I am available. I say yes, Lord. good is it running after? It's running after me. With my life laid down and surrender now, I give you everything. Your good is running, it keeps running after me. Your good is running after, it's running after me. Your good is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, surrender now, I give you everything. Your good is running, it keeps running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. Every breath that I am able, oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God.
Okay, observer of people that you are this last year with COVID and all the things that have been going on, what's one of the more profound things that perhaps you've noticed this last year about students that maybe we wouldn't have an observation of because most of it, except for Rachel, are beyond that? But just something that you, as insight into students and student behavior and students' migration patterns and different things that go on in their lives, the way they think during this last year, even the last 3 years while you've been at school. What are some of the things that you've noticed that you think should be passed on to us?
Well, I think let me start last year because that in itself is something great to unpack.
It's a category in of
Yeah,
itself.
yeah. 2020 and the butt start of 2021 has been a lot. But I think within the last year, obviously the devil has done his great work of dividing people during this time. And I'm not talking about politics, and we're not going to touch that right now because that's its own category too. But I'm talking about literally physically being separate, like not being able to meet for classes in person, not being able to like engage with other people. Like there has been a hollowness that I've seen in people, like just continually of just like not having that community space to return to. And like I felt this too, like in like the sense of like it's like take my acapella group for example. That's 14 people that I'm pretty close with, I would say. I'm not close with all of them. I don't know all of their deep darkest secrets. I know a few of people's deep darkest secrets in that group, but not everybody's. But I remember when we got shut down back in March and it was like, hey, like people went home. Like it just wasn't the same to like go and meet on a Zoom call. Like you could see them and see all the same people and everybody was there in attendance. But like I remember just logging off and just being like, not only was that kind of just uneventful, but I was just like, okay, like
Unsatisfying.
yeah, and not in a way of like it being transactional, but just in a way of like this is something that like typically as an introvert, mind you, as an introvert, this was surprisingly something that gave me a lot of life, but right now it's not. And I found like lots of people coming to me and being like, yeah, I'm in the same clubs, but it just like doesn't feel the same. Or like I like show up, but it's just like yeah, some people show up or I show up over Zoom, but it just feels dry. And like the thing is people are trying to make these connections work, and that should be applauded. Like to be able to have a Zoom stream right now, I think is pretty awesome that somebody in Tempe right now can like listen to me sing. But at the same time, like it's really hard because it's like you're not in person, you're not here, you're not living in the richness of that. And so it made me realize that at least with like my friendships here in person, I can't do something if like someone's in another state. That's the unfortunate thing. It's like, well, I can try, but like there's not something I can do on a day-to-day basis besides pray for them. But the biggest thing that I found was I need to be more intentional about creating one-on-one time with these people. like our little meetings. And what I found was in the people that I met up with in those little like one-on-one interactions, I heard things about people that I've never known about them, and I maybe known these people for years, and things that are very, very vulnerable that you don't just say over coffee the first time you actually choose. Like if I was just meeting you, for instance, I'd probably sit down, know about your job, know about your kids, know about like, but we probably wouldn't like touch the deep stuff just yet. And I found that people are so deprived, so like distant from other people that I'd sit down and they'd be like, hey, so my boyfriend just cheated on me. And I'm like, first, didn't know you had a boyfriend. Second, what? And it's like, I'm like, oh, okay, God, I guess we're in this situation now. Now we're gonna talk. All right. And it as crazy as it was for me to come home and be like, God, what just happened? At the same time, I'm like, God, I'm really glad that you put me there. And like I'm glad I can have those interactions. And I just have been realizing that people need that time. They need that one-on-one time. And it's really hard because COVID, you still have to like walk around those boundaries very carefully. Thankfully, I'm fully vaccinated now, so I have a lot more freedom. But like, it's still very hard, like to like hear of people like struggling or sitting like alone in dorm rooms or like sitting and doing activities alone, and there's just very minimal you can do. And so I've just tried to really prioritize and put that above everything else, meeting one-on-one with people. As far as 3 years goes, I think the biggest thing is that people are looking for spontaneity. They're looking for the fun things to do, the funny memories that you recall at the end of the year, and you're like, oh, remember that one time we like danced on top of your car at Target, or do you remember that one time we like had like $5 and we like went and bought like random things from the dollar store and took
That's
pictures
still
with
true
them.
of college too. That's
Yes.
good. That part is good college.
But I think in like for sure in the last 3 years, like I mean the culture of this time, like I'm not saying this is what should happen, but I'm saying of college students, like because social media is so big, that is the thing to do. You want to post the spontaneous thing. You want to have the cool hip thing. You want to post the crazy sunglasses or the crazy new hairdo you got, or the crazy thing of you guys dancing in a car to like a fun random song. Like people want the it factor, whether it's for attention or you just want to share with people, hey, we did this fun thing. And I think at least how I as a Christian walk in that is it's not in an attempt to crave like adventure in a negative, lustful way, but more in the sense of how can I just do life with these people and do it to the fullest and
Enjoy a rich life.
yes. And it tends to happen in those moments of, oh, I'm driving home from Bible study with my friends. Oh, we have 10 minutes to spare. There's an ice cream shop. Want to stop? And then we do. And it's fun and we have a great time together. And I get to have 10 extra minutes to talk with them that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And I live for those spontaneous conversations as equally as much as I do those one-on-one conversations. Because this conversation is where the vulnerability comes out. And these conversations are the little tidbits and funny things that just make the whole friendship loyal and deep.
For a lot, COVID is like breathing through a straw. You might be able to survive with that, but it doesn't bring you any richness of life itself. It's just survivable. But you're not going to be able to get the richness from the sense around you and the life and the things that just catch your attention that add to it all. Cool. Good. All right.
Play another.
Yep.
Alrighty. Let's see. Like I said, I have a full list. I'm just
They
trying
still
to
say
figure
it's
out.
sounding okay, Rachel? Is it still sounding okay?
You guys.
What happens?
I can't really hear anybody.
Oh, but you can hear it when I ask the question. Gotcha. Okay.
I'm caught up in your presence. And I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave.
Okay, as you seen how we do worship out in the public, out in open spaces like this, work with our strategic uh, partnerships, places that we can do stuff like this. What have been some of your observations and thoughts seeing church in a context of the community instead of inside of a building right now? Or what are some of your thoughts for a younger generation coming along in need of the conversations?
I think it's important for it to look like something that is really at the heart of who Jesus is, which is relationship. Like you see Jesus in the Bible most like pertinently, like at dinner tables, at like places like that. And I think this model is good in the sense of like it being a common space that people come to for coffee, for tea, for food, for conversations. Just because that is an area where people are just more willing to share their hearts. I mean, like I was saying with the one-on-one things, like people are willing to let down their guard more so than I think ever before, because of COVID, because there's a lot pressing, and when you're so isolated, you just want to tell somebody, no matter who that person is, if you know them for 20 years or 6 months or whatever.
Well, we're also seeing the frailness of life right
Yes.
now with so many people that have lost their life.
Yeah, I lost my grandpa back in September. And I also lost my dog a month after that, almost on the same day. So this semester has been pretty rough for me too, just trying to like process that. Not specifically this semester, I should say this school year. I'm doing a lot better now, obviously. But I think like just having spaces like this where people can come in, I think it's important to have it like where it seems, I don't know, like I guess the word, I don't like this word because I could probably give you a better one if given 20 minutes, but like just less formal is the best way to put it. Like I think people like view it as something that's like passed down to them that is so traditionalized and like you've got to do this, and it's like, well, at the very root, like if you're not loving people first, then how are you going to teach them about the love of Christ and how are you going to model that? And so I think the way in which that happens is through community, through relationship. Like it's not just about having these spaces. I think this is one way to get the foot in the door, but it then works with reaching out after the fact, like getting to know them in this space and like coming up and being like, oh, like thanks for joining. Like, what's your name? Like, how are you doing? But then like even that interaction is fine, but it's the 3 days later when you get a text and it's like, hey, you mentioned this one thing the other day, like you said this test was really hard. How did that go? Like it shows like intentionality, and it shows that like they're not just seen in that moment, but they have been seen over the past couple of days. And I think that is the love of Christ in action, of just like being that intentional with people, because that's what he would do for us.
That's great.
Follow-on question. So building on that, what would a transformational relationship look like? Transformation in Christ.
Like them giving their life to Christ. Is that what you're getting at?
Or building on what you're talking about with the relationships. And so let's just assume that some of those people are Christians, maybe they got Christians, maybe they're exploring. And so Christ transforms our lives, and through simple little things like meeting up with a
Pavilion, yes.
Okay. Or something more intentional. And if you were just to kind of envision your life, if we could do this to help affect this transformation opportunity, what would that look like?
Honestly, I think there's not like a here's a pamphlet of like what to do. I guess the way that I look at it is if I were like say in charge. I think like it's important for me to gather people with the same mind and the same heart of like, look, like first it starts here. It doesn't start out here. It starts here first. If I'm not choosing that God is the one who wants to rule my life, and if I'm not saying like that's important for other people to recognize that amazing fact, if I can't put the adjective amazing before that, it's going to be really hard, because then it becomes a persuasion game. It doesn't become just showing people something that is really cool. And so I think once then you have a team of that, then that's when people can disperse. And I think the diversity of a team is very important, because if you all have people who are all like knows the same things, you're going to get a decent net probably, but not as big big of a net. If you have someone like me, I can talk to people in my acapella group that other people just won't get that opportunity because I have a background in singing. But other people, it might not be that case. Other people may have an in at a lacrosse intramural that I do not like lacrosse, and so that's how they get in. But like I think the transformation happens then when it's just continued. Like it's not just the one that it's not meeting them here. It's not the text 3 days later about the test. It's over and over and over again. And ultimately it comes down to their choice. If they're like, you're a creep, I don't want to talk to you, you planted the seed. Great job. And God will handle the rest. But if like I truly believe that like those type of intentional people don't exist in the world. And I should say they do, but like at such a minimum that when people do see that, they're like, something's different about that person. Like this person truly cares about me. And not just in a way of like the flippant nature of society where they'll like congratulate you on your social media and then tune out for the rest of your life. Like it's someone who's then going to walk with you. And I think through that, that's when people like, I don't think it's anything even on my doing. I think it's just people being transformed by that, being like, that's different. Like, what's going on? And then that's when, like I said, my friends will come up to me and share these huge truths. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then I'm able to speak to them. And then that's where that process starts. Literally, I met with a girl this morning who was going through a lot of things. And she was just like, she's like, and I know you say you're a Christian. Like, how would you handle this? And it's like, I got to have that conversation because I've been open about my faith and because like I've established this relationship with her of just creating this continued loyalty about meeting up with her for breakfast, meeting up for her to just talk about journalism things, nothing about Christ until this very moment. And it was through that comfortability that came out of her mouth, not of mine. And so that's why that's where I think the transformation happens. It's through action, not always word. Because she can read all the words she wants on my Instagram page. She can see me sing these songs. Like she has more than enough proof that I'm a Christian. But it was through my actions that she was able to be like, I want to hear this response. So yeah.
Feels like that the transformation takes place as a byproduct of the relationship rather than being the focus of the steps. That's different for us at our age, but what you're saying is you don't necessarily have an agenda. You don't have steps.
No.
It's just relationship as the relationship organically takes place. And then the transformation becomes a byproduct of that friendship.
It sounds like you're attached to words in your mouth.
No, that's okay.
A real sincere, intentional relationship really starting.
Well, I mean, that's what God gives us that we told to serve, and so that's where I start. I mean, like it's the very cheesy saying of like love God and love people, but that's as simple as it is, honestly. It's like having that deep personal relationship where I'm convicted by Christ, but then feeling so compelled, just like the Holy Spirit was compelled to create us, like out of the Trinity, like we are then compelled to bring other people into this, and that's where the love happens, and it can only go from there.
Well, the cheesy thing is, that's what Jesus said.
Yeah.
I mean, those were his words when he was asked what's most important about this whole thing.
Love
And
the
that's
Lord
still
your
true
God and love
today.
your neighbor, yeah.
Yeah, that's still true today. Good. All right, sing.
Oh, I knew we went over 4, so I just didn't know if we were done yet or not.
4:15, if you're okay.
Oh yeah, I can play one more. Izzy, I know you're listening. I know this is one of your favorite songs. So
Tell her this is the last one.
this is the last one. You better be listening. I love you.
You'll be tested on this later, Izzy.
I see her later today, so I will ask her. You're gonna bump this down. I don't have a high enough range for this yet. Here we go.
Pull me in closer, close to your heart. May I be a pure reflection of all you are. Love that is patient,
festival.